Good afternoon. So, before the H4 closes in approximately 40 minutes, let's go through the pairs for today. Alright, starting with USD CAD, since we do have high impact news on USD pairs, CAD pairs, and GBP pairs. So, I've picked the pairs so we can also monitor how it moves during the news, especially when it's high impact news, okay? So we have a sell zone up here and a buy zone down here. Why is it a sell zone? Because this was the engulfing sell that shot the price down up until this, or down until this one. When the price came back up, it closed within this engulfing sell zone and respected it. Alright, so we are using that. As for the engulfing buy, we have an engulfing sell that broke, becoming an engulfing fail. Price came back, rejected over here, leaving a wick, then created the first engulfing buy and our second engulfing buy over here. Alright, so complete ABC for the buy setup. So what can USD CAD do? I'm gonna screenshot this. I'm not gonna write in particular because I am traveling. So current price is over here. If it climbs up into our sell zone and respects it, then potentially we can catch a sell back down. But if it breaks the zone, then potentially it could go even higher. After breaking the zones, price can either shoot up in one go or retrace back into the key level for a better buy up, okay? Vice versa, if it decides to drop all the way down into our buy zone and respects it, then potentially we can catch a buy back up. But if it breaks the zone, then we know it potentially could go even lower. Oops. Lower. A bit bumpy. Okay, so where do you monitor, or which time frame in particular? You wait for the H4 to close. First, we want it to happen within the zone as much as possible, and then you switch into M15 to find a setup. If it's a sell setup on H4, then you find sell setups on M15. But if you can't find any setups in M15, then you can switch down to M5 to find it. Okay? So that is for USD CAD. Now we go to the next pair, USD JPY. Alright, we have our sell zone up here. Sell zone up here that was an engulfing buy that failed. It has yet to been tested after breaking. Then we have our buy zone down here. So let's just scroll back a bit. Why is it a buy zone? Because we have an engulfing sell that broke. Okay? Then price came back to retest, poked the key level and flew. Did not create any engulfing buys yet. Current price is over here. Again, same thing as UCAD, right? If it respects either of the zones, then we can catch a sell back down or a buy back up respectively. But if it decides to break either of the zones, then we know potentially could test a higher zone up or a lower zone down below, like this. Okay, SLs either set 10 to 20 pips above or below the zones, or if you have less of a capital to float and you want to manage your risk, because sometimes H4 can be quite huge, then just set 40 pips from your entries for the currencies to move a little, because it is a currency pair. It's quite slow compared to gold, and it needs a bit of space to move around before going the direction that it is supposed to go. Okay, then last but not least, we have Euro GBP. Okay, Euro GBP, I'm not going to explain much. It's the same thing over and over, right? We have our sell zone with 2 key levels and our buy zone down here. So what can it do? Screenshot once again. If it decides to climb, it's very bumpy. If it decides to climb up into our sell zone and respects it once again, then potentially we can catch a sell back down. But if it breaks above, then we know potentially could go even higher. Okay, vice versa. If it drops down into our buy zone and respects it, potentially we can catch a buy back up. But if it breaks it, then potentially we could catch a sell back down when it retraces back into the key level, if ever it does that. Okay, that goes for every of the zones. If once it breaks, you can use the key level for the opposite direction. Okay, so find smaller time frames after the break, or if it decides to disrespect the zone, so wait for that H4 to close, breaking the zone, then you can monitor M5 or M15 at the key level for when it retraces for the opposite direction. Okay, so that's for all the pairs. I'm gonna send this, post this, and just remind you, trade smart, trade wisely, don't overtrade, don't over leverage, and don't be greedy. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.